Yay.
Happy Wednesday, people. Welcome to the Kris The Critic Show.
Bonjour.
Today is Wednesday. May the 4th be with you.
And also
I'm
with
Kris. To my right is the beautiful, the talented, the incomparable Gina B.
Thank you. You're so nice to me.
Woo!
I get
Background
applause
laugh track.
today. This is
Background laugh
dope.
track.
I love it.
Now that extra clap that you heard, we have a guest. We actually have a couple guests today. Can we please, Mr. Super Producer, Mr. Gorman, bring in Gene Cross. Gene Cross, welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the title of today's show is...
It's a good one.
The Black Man, The Bag, and Becky. Today's show will delve into
Becky in her natural
relationships,
habitat.
but specifically with brothers who are newly minted millionaires. Now, granted, I know that this will morph into something else, and that's okay. This is one of those things today, we're all going to smile even if we disagree, and we're going to type in our opinions, and we're going to give
Feverishly.
you Gina B's all ready to just rip up all my notes.
No. Would I do that?
The reason that we have Coach Cross here, and again, Coach, thank you for joining. He's a very good friend of mine. I've been knowing him forever. He's well-spoken. And he has a lot of knowledge about some newly minted millionaires, athletes. Works for the association. I don't have permission to mention them, so I won't unless he does. So he works he's a scout for the association. So he gets to see some of these guys who make a lot more money, at least me. Gina B has a lot of money, sitting on the panel. So we will be asking your expert opinion.
Sure.
Or you're an expert, like it's a court case. Your expert opinion on this. 6 days ago, the reason why we're having this show, I was in Las Vegas. Strong apple juice.
Very.
6 days ago, happened to be the NFL draft round 1. So, to give you an idea, the first pick goes from being in college. He has a guaranteed contract, I don't know, close to $40 million. 24, 25 of that is guaranteed. Newly minted millionaire. And I just happened to peek up, and I see the second pick was a Caucasian brother. Third pick was a brother, and he has parents, friends, family, and who's right there smiling like she hit the lottery too? His girlfriend. Now look, nothing against, this is not a show to bash any of my melanin challenged sisters. It's not what this is about. We're just going into why. A lot of these guys they come from real black towns. They real black, blue black, a lot of them.
Black.
Somehow they grew up in a black neighborhood.
Blackity black.
They blackity black. Grew up in a black neighborhood. Black mama, black grandmama, black past girlfriend. But the minute that money comes, I just noticed something different. Now I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't have to live with them. But we noticed that, right? So the question is why. So that is the reason we're having this show. And besides, we got a lot of issues in the black community anyway. We're going to talk about those too. So without further ado, Gina B is going to lead some of this questioning. I'm going to chime in with some questions. I'll ask the first one. And then you
Okay. Go
if that's
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
And then I'll be looking around sites. So I'm checking out questions today. And Gina B is going to lead this. And we want to hear from Coach. And I may ask some questions, but I'll ask the first question. You can even borrow my notes, Gina B, because I know you don't have it.
Because Chris got a list.
You know you
I'm
don't
an
have
off-the-cuff person.
She doesn't bring notes. I wrote a book.
I got a whole bunch of shit in my head.
So, first question. Gene, you see a lot of young brothers today, right?
Yeah.
I ran across, not even a rich person, a photo of a guy from my high school, which is in Roseland. Moves to the suburbs, successful guy. Son on prom. 5 men, 5 dates. 4 of the 5 men were African American. 1 kid was white. Every one, he goes to marrying Catholic, so he's in the suburbs. But every one had a white girl. Now, That's my first question. Do you think that's a trend? While you answer that, I'm going to show Gina B said picture so she knows I'm not lying.
I can't wait.
That is the picture.
Wow.
You got to show everybody else.
And these women are fetching.
Well, I mean, no.
I mean, it just, yeah. I mean, let's put it this
So
way.
that's,
There's a lot
that's
of...
the first question.
Well, I don't know about it being a trend. In that situation, and even in the situation when you talk about athletes, when you talk about athletes,
there we go.
You're talking about their exposure.
Okay.
And if you're talking about it, say an athlete at University X, that's predominantly white. That may be 80%, 70% white.
Okay.
The fan base is predominantly white, and so they're thrust into a situation where they're exposed to and around people who are predominantly of another race.
Okay.
Other than something that they're used to being exposed to. On top of that, they're placed on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think that ultimately people are attracted to power, prowess, influence, and evenally money.
And largesse.
Well,
they like big
sure.
men.
Well, sure.
And they
But
cannot
I mean, you
lie.
don't necessarily, but still no. So I think that when you talk about exposure and exposure level and being put in an environment where you're around people that are different than what you're accustomed to,
Okay.
and then you place them on a pedestal, then automatically those people that are in that environment are gonna be attracted to those people who they place on a pedestal, and there's where you have a lot of situations where black males may be involved with a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I get that.
I mean, I get exposure, right? But so let me just back up a little bit, okay? So where we all started talking about this was on Facebook, where a friend of ours, Jennifer, if you're watching, hi.
Hey, Jennifer.
Posted the article that was in the Daily Mail publication about wives and girlfriends of the NFL draft picks, right? And it was, there's a whole article that celebrates whatever a WAG is, which is the acronym for Wives and Girlfriend. And out of hundreds of draft picks, that what they highlight are the ones that are with white women. And what I find interesting about the whole article is that when you look at all of these women, it looks almost as though they're all dating the same woman. Like, I've never seen a more homogenous environment of white women in my life.
Let's not say they all look alike.
No, but all of these do look alike. I'm just
on
saying.
the air.
No, but all of these women do look alike. But anyway, so the point is
You're trying
this.
to get me cut out about the whites.
The whites. No, this was interesting because there's a whole trail of comments that arose from the posting of this article. And so someone put, someone's playing chess while someone else is playing checkers. Okay. Others put, and then one of my favorite comments is, blowjob Becky is on the job.
Well, we won't read all those bits. Keep reading.
What I'm saying is that this is the reaction. So, and then another guy that I don't know if Will's watching, but always remember that in many cases, those little Beckys are part of the recruitment process to get these guys to even come to these universities.
Wait a minute.
Let me just finish. These girls lock onto them as quickly as possible and try to stay as long as they can until the bag is secured. Gene Cross, you say what?
Yeah,
wow.
good.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there.
Do you see why we have Gina B sort of leading the question? Black women get real passionate about this subject.
I'm just curious.
There's a lot to unpack there. But they didn't highlight. Did they highlight a lot of the black athletes that are dating black women?
No. It's a whole. The whole article is all. And
because you played college athletics.
I'm gonna show you.
What did they toss in when they were recruiting the star athletes? Did they toss in some white women to walk around who were cute?
Okay, there are recruiting assistants that are there.
Recruiting assistants
that help to.
What services do they provide?
Are they the fluffer?
They give tours.
Tours.
They
tours.
Here's a tour.
They talk about the athletics. And
okay.
It's okay.
Take them out later
now,
the athletic supporters?
mind you, they are probably pretty attractive.
No, see, do you see all? Do you
I
see.
I see all.
And they all look the same. I'm just not even lying.
And but don't get it twisted now. I mean, ultimately,
white girls need love too, Gina B.
They get a lot of it. I'm just.
That's what sisters are.
They get a lot of love. They get a lot of love.
Selfish. Anyway, go ahead, G.
No, but I mean, again, if the majority of them are white, then that's what you're exposed to. And if I mean, yeah, I see that one there.
I'm
That's the
going
guy
to challenge that in a minute.
This is the prototype, I think. Look, they all look the same.
See, now that goes a step further right there. When you talk about the blonde haired, blue eyed.
Oh yeah,
that goes a step further into
even
the
if
whole
the carpet doesn't match the drapes
and repudiation of being darker and having and being sold a bill of goods and being socialized to think that we're that black people or blackness isn't the pinnacle of what we should be.
Right.
And so the repudiation of that is to go out and find somebody who does represent that socially, who might be a white woman.
Right.
So, yep.
I want to challenge this slightly, and I want both of your opinions on this.
Okay.
I get that's the environment they're in, but when we talk about, and these people are celebrated because they're rich, right, and famous.
Sure.
Similar to maybe a rapper, a Grammy, a rich rapper or whatever. But
Very
now,
similar.
these folk haven't been in those environments, yet I see some of the same trends.
Well, some of it, and I think, Gene, I think this is a point that you probably will corroborate or understand at minimum, is that, and I come from an entertainment family, right? My father's, and I know that when we talk about racism, because my father's lived through a lot, right? Because he's older. I don't really get the sense that he experienced the same kind of racism.
Do you think they like white girls as much back then?
No, it isn't that. It's that white people are nicer to entertainers, athletes.
Absolutely.
Because they're the pinnacle of black people, to them.
You become acceptable in their eyes.
Exactly.
Or just societally. And so if you are an entertainer, you have power, you have money, you have influence, then you people look at you differently. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, if something goes down, you're gonna be black.
Right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
If something goes down and something happens, whatever it is,
use black.
Exactly.
Use black.
But before that happens, you are, if you are an athlete, if you are put on that pedestal, you are perceived differently.
But don't they think it's strange, they being the athlete? I watched, you see the Grizzlies Golden State game.
Yeah.
Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't watch basketball, very young man, extremely talented. It's like watching Allen Iverson 2020, whatever we are, too, and then some, right?
Yeah.
But if he were walking down the street on 79th and Stony Island with his long braided hair, colored, he wears his pants sort of loose,
Colored.
sort of gold, colored tips.
Okay, I was like, colored.
I'll never offend the blacks. I will never offend the blacks. But my point is, if he were walking down 79th and Stony Island, looking like he does, he's very thin, he's not exceptionally tall, I wouldn't know he's an athlete, you might hit the lock button on your car not knowing that this guy is a multi-millionaire. And those same folks who cheer him, if they were driving down the street and they were white, I'm sure they might even consider running that light. Now, my question is, same guys. But to Coach's point, these people are loved and embraced. Think about even back in the day when Magic Johnson couldn't speak that well. They would just be all on the microphone. Magic here. Everybody going crazy. I think for the athlete, at some point, is there anyone telling them, hey, don't you know that they're only here or around you for what you have? Not saying that the Beckys are doing that.
They figure it out when they get divorced.
Here's what
I'm just saying.
I feel like people who fall in love, if they fall in love the right way is fine. But if you're like, what's my man? No shade to Tay Diggs, but shade to Tay Diggs. If you just date he has an almost black girl now.
Yeah,
does he?
She's blackish.
Yeah.
She's blackish.
Yeah.
Really?
Shout out to Tay. But if you're one of these people who say, I don't date black because and we'll get to my loud argument combative sisters, because y'all out here. We're going to get to that.
That is not me, but okay.
Yeah, that's not you, Gina B.
I'm not loud and argumentative
You're
about
not.
it. I'll tell you why in a little while, but go ahead.
You are not. I was just joking with that. But what does anybody tell them? Hey, man, be careful who's around you.
See, but that's just it. Like anybody, being a groupie or being a gold digger isn't exclusive to white women. It's exclusive. It's anybody.
Sisters catch hell over that.
So, well, it's anybody. Yeah.
But not white women.
Sure.
The black man
Maybe not nearly as much, but but that also goes back to whatever implicit biases we have as a society. Truthfully, and we all have them.
Right.
We look at people when we see a person, we have a judgment about them, and we treat them we treat them a certain way based on our judgment. And again, that's our own. Those are our own issues as people in general. So we as a society, we placed whiteness ahead of blackness, and so whiteness may get a pass as opposed to blackness may not get a pass.
Lemonade is just a little bit sweeter.
But that's what I'm saying. So again, it's our own societal biases that come out in that instance. So if somebody doesn't discredit a white woman for being a gold digger, but then goes and does it for a black woman, then that's on whoever that is that's placing that issue.
Placing the value.
Exactly.
Well, black women don't get away with everything. Black women get disparaged for having hair weaves, and white women have them all day, and nobody even thinks about it.
All day, every day.
Black women get disparaged for big asses until white women decide that it was
here's
okay
the thing
to
about
have
the hair thing. The hair thing, I think, goes back to not embracing our natural.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
But the point is, though, if you take dollar for dollar, right? You take a white chick with hair extensions and a sister, it's like, oh, she got that hair weave.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry. What's all that shit down to her back, down to her ass that you're about? But so here's the question: like a lot of guys, a lot of black men are accused of feeling as though they've arrived.
Right.
When they're with a white woman, and as if the presence of her on his arm opens doors that wouldn't be opened to them more so than if they're with a sister.
Well, to me, it all goes back to how we have been programmed to believe that whiteness is better than blackness, and so. And I talk about the repudiation of our own blackness. Mm-hmm. If you grew up in whatever part of the city around black folks all the time, and you've been told you're ugly or you this or this, any negative connotation or denotation about who you are, then the minute you feel like you have arrived, if you're feeling that way, then you go the opposite direction.
Right. Then you project that onto.
Is this similar to, back in the day, brother gets a nice job, whatever, he buys a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Or these days a Beamer or whatever the car is, whatever.
That's so cute.
I drive American. But they go I'm gonna get me a white one because that's what the white man has. And being from a race who's been, and I will give us some grace, who's been denied a lot. I can, if you aren't raised, and a lot of people in these situations don't necessarily have a mom and a dad or some really positive influences around them, you sort of do what you see.
Right. Sure.
And I see Kanye West with Kim Kardashian. I couldn't bring her home. I'm not Gina being out there.
We go back and forth on this.
I'm not a fan of
We're not
hers.
getting into all
She's
that today.
Culture vulture. And my mother would look at me wrong if I brought somebody home who sucked dick on camera. I just couldn't do it. But anyway.
What if it's just on your camera?
Exactly.
Right. Ooh, that looks nice.
But I mean,
I'm just saying.
Think about it. We probably, our generation probably had a little more, we were less, I don't know.
Our generation? You think that there's
what
more...
we saw, I listened to NWA. But I didn't go carjack and steal from people.
All right.
But I think this generation, if you don't have a solid foundation, you probably do look at the celebrities more. At least in our generation, I looked at, I don't know, Nelly and Luke videos. I wanted a big booty black girl.
Well,
the white woman would have never entered into my equation of women I wanted to be with.
Not
Brian,
those BBLs.
do you feel me on that?
there was a whole lot of exploitation there anyway.
Now these
Our producer is like, yes, Lord.
They don't care what they look like as long as they got some real long hair. I just don't know where the brothers are going with it.
It's like they will take anything off of like a white chick can look broke the fuck
Well,
down.
let's not do that and act like there
the
are some
truth.
beautiful white women out here.
I mean, there are, but I mean, if you like, I've seen. Some,
I was a 9th, 10th degree player in the black community.
Some brothers.
Along with Coach Cross, I went to undergraduate with him, and there are.
Y'all were just slaying.
I would go ahead. I may have not dated a white girl, but I've had relations, maybe. And it was because I was young and I wanted to do something different, right?
I mean, yes, it's a departure. You want variety.
Listen, Well, that's a whole nother story because a younger male, a dating strategy for a younger male is about variety anyway.
Right.
And
Okay, that's a good point.
If you're in an environment where the variety is the majority white, then you're probably going to interact with and have relationships with somebody who is white.
It's just like white boys who grew up. I cannot tell you how many. You meet the ones that are like from Iowa or somewhere.
Have you dated white?
No. And they will come up to you and they'll say, when they're drunk, and they'll say, "Oh, no, black women."
Oh yeah.
And it's just, we're exotic. We're over-sexualized anyway. But I will tell you what I find interesting.
I have such a smart co-host. I love this.
Which, I mean, we are. Black women are over-sexualized. But I'll tell you the thing about sisters also. Like, I was never attracted to professional athletes.
What?
Despite the fact that some of them were attracted. I never really understood that. Well, see,
I
a lot
would
of
be.
it,
They
too.
got a lot of dough.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because, we know what's up. You know what I mean? Like,
What do you mean?
we know what's up.
What do you mean?
Black women, and I've had white girlfriends, and I've watched them do things, and I'm just like, are you an idiot? Like, I mean, it's like we are taught to sniff out whole new levels of trifling.
Oh Lord.
But if
Like,
if you look at men are
pigs
simple.
and truffles.
Men
We're
are
just
simple.
like,
But why are
that's-
you looking for it?
It's not that you're looking for it. It's
Why are
just
you
that it's
sniffing it
right
out?
there. We can, because we're
But
trying
every
to.
woman can. But why would you?
Why wouldn't we if it's happening?
But
What-
why are you
what-
sniffing
what-
it out? I
what-
heard
what
you
do
say sniffing.
What are you trying to sniff out? What are you trying to sniff out?
We can just sense when
That is
some
a-
bullshit is going down.
All right,
right?
but-
Okay,
Because
like
you-
what kind of bullshit?
Exactly. There we go.
Like,
Now,
okay, so I've in my experiences, this is all I can speak to.
Yeah.
When I've had friends of other nationalities, especially when it comes to like black men, because culturally we know what's going on, right? Like, because we're just this is our culture, we know what's up, and so it's just they're like, oh, but he said blah blah blah, and oh, where'd he go? He went to go make a run.
Do other women-
or
do
he's
other
like,
men do that?
And so I'm just like, oh,
Do
is
other
that
races
what he
of
told
men
you,
do that?
Sweet pea? Okay.
do other races of men do that?
Do what?
Say that they may have an errand to run.
Yeah, but it's a little.
If
sometimes
you
it's a little
look
different.
for trouble, you'll find something. And
We
here's
just
the,
know what's up.
here's the
We
truth,
know.
ladies. I'm gonna give you the cheat
See,
code.
Boosie Latham. She's like, we know when y'all lying.
I'm gonna
We
give
do.
you. I'm gonna give you all the cheat
White guys
codes.
don't lie.
I'm giving one of
They
the
do.
cheat codes on men. A young man, a man young in life, if your looks index is way up here, he'll put up with that bullshit. But as a man gets older, you're not about to sweat me. Oh, babe, we got a team meeting. Well, you usually come home from the team meeting at 8:30, and it's 8:45. Or you usually do that. No man, especially when he becomes successful, wants to hear that shit. So if you look at, now, I'm not telling you how to date. Maybe what you're doing is working for you out there. But if you have a man who's come from a humbled environment, he heard his mama yelling. He probably doesn't have his daddy. Every relationship he sees his mom having is somebody yelling at each other.
Okay.
So maybe something, this woman who's giving him some peace or comfort, not saying that all sisters do what I'm saying,
She's giving him a piece.
but
and
I've
some
dated
comfort.
more black women than white, and I can tell you, our community has issues. The men too.
Okay, so that
I'm not
means-
even saying it's just black women. It's black men with issues
You've
too.
given us a beautiful segue
Nice.
into
That's
what's
good.
on your list, which is
Is that my list? It's in front of you.
well, it's clearly I have the
It's a
handwriting.
long list.
I have the handwriting of a
It's a
serial
long
killer,
list.
so it's not my
And we're
list.
gonna bring in another
Gee,
guest.
if
in a
I can
couple
read
minutes.
it, it's not mine.
Right after this, I want to bring in one
do
more person.
Do
on
they
the
feel the
screen.
sisters are too loud, disrespectful, combative? Like, what is that?
About 45-50% of y'all.
And okay, we're talking about the athlete and
Yes, that's what
Right.
we're talking about.
Is that what they think?
Yeah, is that what they think?
I wouldn't go so far
need
as to
some more
say
apple juice for
that.
this one.
I think that there are cultural
Right.
differences, sure.
Bring
Cultural
Sean in.
differences.
Just bring it. Bring in
And
Sean.
so with those cultural differences, you may want somebody who may be considered more submissive, or somebody who is more accepting of, whatever it is that you're trying to
More
trying to tell
submissive.
her.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's the why do you want someone more submissive?
Well, I think I think you want somebody that you feel like, and see,
Submissive
this
is not
in
a
general.
bad word, Gene.
This
Let me
is
help
in
you out
general.
on
I'm
this
just
code.
curious.
But yeah, go ahead.
It's not a bad word. All right? You can co-lead and one person be submissive,
Sure.
right? There's some things that if Gina B and I were prepping to do, I don't know, some sort of business activity, I would actually think on some aspects you would take the lead, and I would have to be submissive and listen.
You wouldn't like it.
Why?
Why not?
I know you.
If it's improved my situation,
well, that's different. Okay, so staying in your lane, right?
I want you to finish asking him.
Yeah,
but I want to quickly introduce. Sean, can we make Sean slightly bigger? Yeah. I want Sean bigger. Sean Smith, how you doing?
How y'all doing?
Hi.
So, as I mentioned before, I met Gene in college at the University of Illinois. Another esteemed, not only did I go to high school with him, and I went to college with him. Sean Smith, welcome back to the Kris The Critic show.
Appreciate it. What's up, Gina? How you doing, Gina?
Man, what's going on, Sean?
Hey, listen, and for any of you all, I like to have smart folks on the show. Sean is one of them. So, Sean, Gina B is going to finish questioning y'all.
I don't know. I want to have. Let's bring in a fresh opinion with our new guest.
Go ahead, Sean.
You guys touched on a lot. I mean, a whole lot. When you were talking about what's his name, John Morant walking down 79th and Stony Island. There are certain prejudice that we all have with anyone walking down 79th and Stony Island, regardless of race. But it brought me to a book that I read called Whistling Vivaldi, which is about the stereotypes that we place on each other between races and interraces. And it's by Claude Steele. If you guys want to read it, it's a great read. But it's the prejudice that we have with each other. But some prejudice also keep you safe. You know, if I'm walking down 79th Street and my car breaks down, am I going to walk through an alley to get to the gas station, or am I going to go all the way around? I'm probably going to go all the way around if I want to be safe, but that's a prejudice that I have about the neighborhood and just being safe. There's nothing wrong with that. But as you guys talk about men or these athletes and them dating outside of their race, it goes back to what Gina said, is with the environment that they're in. You know, me particularly, I grew up in a bad area in Chicago, but growing up, my wife and I, when we had kids, we wanted to put them in a better situation than we had. So my kids went to a school where it was predominantly white, so that's what they were around. And when I asked my two sons, would they bring a black girl on to the prom, they said, well, you put me in a school where there are black women, I will do that. So it's the environment that they're in. You guys unpacked a lot. I didn't take any notes because I was so entertained by it.
We had steamer trunks up in here.
You know, it's funny, Sean. My oldest son went to a predominantly white elementary school into middle school, and then when he got to high school, there was a few more. There was a little bit more diversity there, and so he was in heaven there because there were more people that looked like us. But I mean, that's something different, but still in all. And so he didn't date anybody in grammar school or junior high school that I know of, but then he went, and when he was in high school, he dated black women, black girls, because that's what he loved, and that's what he was around, that's what he saw. He saw that in his mom. Right. He saw that in people that I dated, what have you.
That's a good point, Gene. We have, my brother, we grew up in the same house. Mm-hmm. He has 2 daughters, I have 2 daughters. He made a conscious choice to move in an area where the public school systems are better. He lived in Oak Park initially. Then he moved out to Romeoville further west. My oldest daughter graduated from Fordham. My niece, shout out to Maddie. She just got her, graduated from Michigan. She's on a full ride on an oboe scholarship going back for another master's and whatever.
Okay.
They both took white dudes to prom. I may have seen one black kid at a party when they were growing up. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that, big bro. I'm just saying I think any species, person, race, it's got to be something inside of you. If you love yourself, you want a kid or a grandkid that looks like you a little bit. Now, love happens, okay, and that's a good thing. But there are folks out here there are white women who date black just because or only if they have money. And they are black dudes out here that date white just because they're white and they have something against themselves or their people. And I mentioned this, I think it might have been to Sean. Mama Lizzie, one of my great grandmother, God rest her soul, may have been the color of this phone. But let somebody walk through the kitchen and first thing ooh, that child black. Really? Did you just say that? We have a fractured community. And a lot of that is some self-hate.
Yeah.
I
You know what I'm
disagree with
saying?
that. Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, is that for real? And you think about early 70s. I told my oldest daughter this. I said, unfortunately, if you're real fair-skinned, sometimes people might tease you. If you're really dark-skinned, they might tease you and tease you even a little more. You know, I've always been middle of the height, so I didn't, but I saw it.
Oh yeah, I used to all the time. You're cute for a brown skin girl. I mean, I'm just like,
You all right,
do you want me to kick
you
you square in the nuts? Is that where
You
we
are okay for a dark
Why?
skin
What the hell is that
woman.
supposed to mean? But yeah, I mean, we are that fractured community.
Well, sure. And then,
Sorry, guys, 1 second.
Yeah, you got it.
Mrs. Critic told me my mom said don't say anything about Mama Lizzie. Bobby Jean, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
It's a little late for
Mrs.
that.
Critic, don't interrupt the show. We got Sean. We just got him here. Matter of fact,
Stop
ask
allowing
the rest
yourself
of the
to be
question.
interrupted.
Sean has about 9 more minutes.
All right, let's Sean. So let's
Chris,
focus.
don't be careful with what you say because you have to deal with them once you get off the air with us.
That's true.
Fair point.
Jesus Christ.
You know, so now, Sean. So from what you see, okay, and are you did you see the article that I was talking about? I know we had a conversation about.
I read part of the article. It became a little too hard to read, so I stopped reading it.
Oh, wow.
What was hard about it for you?
Because I don't think whomever the author was fair. I don't think it's that pervasive. As Gene stated, it's not that pervasive that if you look at the draft, how many of those athletes had someone of a different race sitting there? I mean, it's blown into like it's every black athlete had a white girl sit at the table. I don't think it's that pervasive. So when
swear
I
it's the
felt
same
that
white
it
girl.
wasn't fair, I just couldn't read it anymore.
Well, most of them, Sean, to your point, do date black women.
Yeah.
Let's take Lamar Odom. He had three, four kids with a black girl,
Bless his heart.
and then marries the white one. We see that a lot too.
You see how well that
But
went for him.
I will challenge that in regular folk, the numbers say black men marry mostly black women, white men marry mostly white women, and vice versa. But those of millionaire plus status, let's call it, I don't know if that's true.
I read articles where it's somewhere around 85%, even for the athletes.
Yeah.
Maybe they just show them a lot.
85% of black men are with black women. Is that what you're saying? Okay, let's make sure I understand.
That's about right. But I'm saying I don't know if there's a study done.
It could be socioeconomic.
On the- Kanye dropped whoever he was dating.
Well,
Got with Kim.
I'm not sure
You
that we're
always see
using
them drop who they
Kanye
were with.
as the benchmark for what we should be doing in
yeah,
our lives.
yeah.
Exactly.
Sean, you got
Go ahead.
Gene mentioned this before with his sons. What was your view on how they date? They date. I'm interested to see what the young guys are thinking about because that's sort of how our future. So I just want to see what their mind is.
Well, I'll be honest. One of mine, when I asked him about the number of white girls he was dating in college, his rationale was that the black girls that he dated and some that he attempted to date wanted you to do much more work than they were doing. There was no reciprocity. It was I called her one time and I'll call you back 3-4 days later. She didn't call. He called again. But the other side of the coin is he calls the white woman. She'll sit and talk to him and she'll call him back before. So again, I'm going to pursue you as a man because I understand that's what the roles are supposed to be. However, the level of reciprocity needs to be there. And if you're not reciprocating what I'm doing in terms of interest towards you, then I'm going to go where my interest lies. Because
Are you saying they're more
Sean needs to be a
eager?
regular contributor on the show.
you got to also understand is that most of
need
these
you to show.
athletes have been catered to from 14 on up. Some even
Well, there's
younger,
that
100%
too. That's another
LeBron.
thing. Yeah.
Been catered to all their lives. So now I want to date someone and she's not giving me that reciprocity. I'm going to move on pretty quickly from that because I'm not used to pursuing.
That's a good point.
Well, they're not used to pursuing, period, because, I still hold the very strong belief that men do not appreciate what they don't pursue.
Well, you pursue what you want up to a point, and then after a while, if you feel like you're knocking your head against the wall, then you got somebody else who you
But if
pursuing.
you're saying what you just said, Gina B, if you're saying that you appreciate that, then
I'm saying that men appreciate what they pursue. That's
Okay, Gina, let's tease that point out a little bit.
Let's
There
do
you
it.
go. There you
Where
go.
does that threshold begin where you're playing a little too hard to get versus, okay, she's playing
doing too
hard
much
to get, so I don't think she's easy, and I get that I'm a pursuit. Where's that threshold at?
No, that's a good question. I mean, how hard is the pursuit? How hard does the pursuit have to be? Is the question,
Exactly.
right? Is that where we are?
Exactly.
So that's an excellent question. But I feel like there are people who, one of my jokes when I was dating, this guy accused me, who I wasn't interested in, by the way, accused me of being hard to get. He goes, "You're playing hard to get." I'm like, "No, I am hard to get.
But-
I'm not playing. Like, it wasn't a game."
Wait, but you weren't even trying to get with him, so
But
why
I wasn't.
why even
but
talk
my
to him?
point is, well, that was.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it.
That was
there
my
before I
point.
get out of here.
That
I'm
was my
saying-
point.
I'm about to go ahead and open all type of worms. Go ahead, yeah.
Oh no! You can open all kinds of. I've left out
There's
your notes here.
it's somewhere in our community
Uh-huh.
where somebody, because when I was a little boy, and this goes to men and women getting bad advice. I sit in the barber shop, somebody saying, "Hey, young man, that's good looking, man, your son you got there. Don't let no woman hold you down. Make your own. Don't do this. Don't get one. Just don't have one of them." And it's somewhere in a little beauty parlor, somebody's telling some little girl, "Hey, you don't need a man. Have your own. Do this. Do that. Do that." Nowhere is somebody saying, "Get together and come together, and this is how life is." And somewhere along the line, somebody told some woman, "Your P is more valuable than his D." And
Good point.
it ain't.
You sure?
You know, again,
See,
it ain't.
See,
And,
somebody,
and the men, and I have 3 daughters, and the men worth their weight in salt. I tell them, you respect, you give the same respect that you want. You treat people how you want to be treated.
Well, so just keep in mind that, some of this is role modeling, right? So a lot of women come from the single parent households.
They raising these dudes
they don't
they mad
see
about.
well they don't see what it is to actually have a healthy relationship, right? What they might see is their single mother saying men ain't shit, or like just fighting off a bunch of men. I mean, whatever they see. So they feel that should be their interaction. So if you grow up, I think it's different. Like, I personally grew up in a household with 2 parents. My parents were married until my mother passed. I mean, I saw the whole thing, right? So, but I saw how the partnership's supposed to operate, right? So you have to kind of, I do, to your point, Sean, it's like, that pursuit thing only really has to go so far with Black women. Sometimes people take it too far, but at the same time, maybe the white girls are just a lot more eager.
Well, they're acting a little more docile.
responsive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like I love the spin, but
I
mean,
can I'm going to say
along
it.
Along with that chase, there's also a margin of error. And I'm going to open up a can of worms here, too.
Uh-oh.
There
yes,
we go.
please, yes, bring the
Yeah,
smoke,
yeah.
Sean.
There's a
Sean
margin
is
of error for, let's just use the word attractive. The more attractive you are, the more bullshit I'm willing to put up with.
Early,
True
especially
story.
if you're young.
Like, you
story.
ain't cute. Fuck you. No.
Exactly.
If you're
If you're not cute, you better show that reciprocity the moment I show you some interest. Because if you don't, I can move on. So that margin of error plays a role in how long I'm going to put up with this bullshit.
Yeah.
So basically,
Let's see, Gina B.
so she's overestimating her societal value. Is what we're doing.
She's absolutely
You
doing
said
that.
it, Gina.
I'm going to stand on it.
I'm just paraphrasing right now.
No, I'm going to stand on it. She is. Because the fact is, I said on the show, men are visual creatures. Men and women are not the same. I don't care what the liberals tell y'all. And I don't care about your degree. I don't care about your success when I first meet you. I'm attracted to this or that. I'm not attracted to loud, sniffing shit out.
Sniffing shit out. Okay, let's calm ourselves down a little
Now,
bit.
I ain't gonna lie. When I was
I
younger,
said sniffing shit.
if
There wasn't shit to sniff.
If you had a cute face and a big booty, I was, hey, whatever you want me to do, I'm gonna play the game. I'm gonna play
That's
the
the margin of
game.
error.
But I drove one time from where I went to college 3 hours away in a state emergency snowstorm, trying to get some
Get
ass.
some ass.
If I was single now and it rained and the girl was 2 blocks away, I wouldn't go. I'm like, it's raining outside. I'm not trying to do that. But that's what it is. And men are visual creatures. And honestly, in our community, men and women, we're not in the best shape. I'm speaking to us as a whole.
Speak for yourself.
That's what I'm like.
Well, not not anyone out, not my guest on here, but not even the producer, but our people are. Black men are overweight. Black women are more overweight.
Yeah, I'm glad you lumped black men into that too, because it's always the narrative is always black women.
I dish it out both ways.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, I'm just
every
sure.
human is accountable for whatever condition they're in, but we have a lot of folks to point blame. Is that, hey, why did you do this? Well, if he hadn't done this, no, you thought he was cute, and you slept with him because that's what you did. You didn't. That's what you did. And now you get men saying the same thing. She just wanted me for my money. You knew that. Because you led with money. And if you didn't, you ignored the sign.
If you chum the waters with it, you can't be upset that somebody is...
Goes both
chum
ways.
the waters. I like that.
If you're chumming the waters with your money, that's why...
Which is okay if you got it.
I had a friend who was very well endowed. She was very heavy chested.
Nice.
And she would wear all kinds of like cleavagey and
She was-
whatever. But
was
she
it?
was upset.
Wait, what's her name?
She was upset because men are always like, men just always talk to my chest. I'm like, because you're chumming the waters with the girls. Like, cover the girls up and see what else they talk
Little
to.
chum,
You know what I
little
mean?
chum never hurt nobody.
No.
Little chum.
But my point is, if you don't want that to be the focal point, then don't make it a focal point.
You better come
If you
back.
don't want money to be the focal point, then stop flashing it around.
Sean,
if that's the problem.
Wait a minute, Sean, I know Sean has.
Yeah,
He's
Sean.
limited on time, but Sean, let us know. But I just want to know. So, what advice did you give? Because and Cross, you can answer this even if Sean has to leave.
Yeah.
Because I got daughters. All I'm saying is find somebody with some character and then some money. Like what? Where y'all at? Where they at? And are you happy where they at? And is there a difference between you and your wife?
Obviously, there's a difference between my wife and I. She just wants them to be happy, which I want as well. But for me, it's don't get into a relationship. Don't be in a relationship with someone who will ask you to do something for them that they won't do for you.
I like that.
That's a jewel right
No,
there.
that's
Hold
good
on.
partnership.
I'm looking for my pen. I got.
That's a partnership, but
that's
it's
a
a
jewel.
partnership.
That is a
goes
jewel.
with basic day one. A young lady I know said that she asked the guy out on a date, but I'm not paying for the first date. That's his job. Or I'm not going to take him there. He can take me there. Don't ask a man to do for you what you won't do for him if you're looking for a relationship. If you're looking just to kick it, then you can throw that out. But if you're looking for a relationship, there has to be reciprocity. And it goes also further, and I'm going to open a further can of worms. Women want to be treated equal, and we had this show already, but when it's only when it's convenient. When the bills come, okay, that's a real man would take care of all of that. But my thing is for my sons, both of them, don't be in a relationship with someone that won't do for you as you do for them. And the other thing is, if you're going to go, and I said this to you guys last night, if you're going to go to the other side, don't go to the outhouse. Go to the penthouse. At least when you're walking down the street, the people will say, okay, I understand why he's dating this white woman, Indian woman, or whatever. Don't go grab someone that their own race they don't know. That's my whole thing. And my wife, her whole thing is she just wants them happy. She cares, but she has no opinion about it. I'm going to make my opinion known to both of them.
Sean is like
Nice.
Sean is like my
I like it.
mom was. No, my mom was. My father, when he was alive, was like, whoever the boy's happy with, right? My mother was like, So yeah. So yeah, I was just wondering. But what about you, Coach?
You know what? I told my sons that if you date who you want to date, but and don't do it because out of self-loathing. Don't date somebody because you think that whatever they have is better than yours.
Good, yeah.
Date because you care about them, you have feelings for them, and that you are there's a mutual benefit. But then also, if you do date somebody outside of your race, be prepared for whatever's going to come your way.
There's a lot of other issues that we haven't even touched on.
Yeah, we haven't even scratched the surface of like the cultural alignment issues and the
stuffing versus dressing. It goes deep, people.
Yeah, don't let it cook.
Deep.
That's all I'm saying to you. It's like
just be prepared for whatever the differences are,
right?
And whatever societal pressures you might feel or face, the looks that you might get from black women. Because black women don't like seeing black men with people outside of their race.
Yeah, and they're going to have the looks. They're not shy about that.
be like.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm gonna head out. I appreciate you
All right,
guys.
Sean, thanks
Sean,
for
it
joining
Appreciate
us.
has
you, brother.
been our pleasure. Please join us again.
Yeah, oh no, we may even have to do this again.
I think this is a long
You
show.
mentioned
isn't it? We need
that,
to
Sean,
know.
before. We may have to do this again.
You can't
Yeah,
wrap all this in 60 minutes. You can't.
yeah, exactly.
This isn't
really
enough.
50.
And really
55.
even less for you, and you have some
Right.
really salient points.
But go do
so-
your thing. Sean is doing good in this community. I want to tell you business out, but he's a good guy, man. So I'm happy you were able to join us. And we'll do this again, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
I'll be in Chicago Juneteenth.
All right, now,
Oh,
my
dope,
producer walked. Oh, make sure you call me. My producer walked away. So make sure you turn your camera off, or we'll see the inside of your house, which looks nice.
Yeah.
I'm over here like this.
Well,
it looks
what
nice
you
in
got
there.
back there?
Talk with you
Y'all
guys
see the
later.
frames on those mirrors? I know some good stuff when I see them.
You know?
All right,
I
man.
see a
Peace,
tree ceiling
brother.
up there.
Later, Sean.
Later.
All right, Sean just left, Brian. So, Coach, we
Okay.
have about, how long we got with Coach?
We got like 10, well,
4 or 5 minutes. We have, wait a minute. I just want to, Gina B, let's peek over the questions. I want
We
to
got a bunch.
I want to send a few shout outs. We had a few people join us. I saw my man Grant Turner, who does, down on here on the regular. I saw one of my favorite Caucasian homies, the Irish, Tim Taylor, who has his own radio show.
Nice.
Tim and I kicked it in Canada. That's a story for off.
Canada's
Canada's for
yeah,
real.
Don't get it twisted.
We had this drink called Gaz d'Avion.
What is it? Oh, is that what he was talking about?
Listen, did he mention it? So
Yeah.
we're in this bar.
Uh-huh.
And this guy doesn't speak, we're in Quebec, they speak French.
Okay, back here.
And I think, actually, Tim and I were interviewing for the same job. They hired both of us.
Oh, good job.
They
Okay.
flew us up there, and I'm thinking this guy's talking garbage to Tim, and I'm a little taller than Tim, so I said, Tim, I'm still Southside, I'm early 20s, 87th Street, rep all day. I said, Tim, there's a problem. You just get the car, meet me 2 blocks east there. I'll take care of this dude. He's like, Chris, you think?
Chris,
So,
you know
long
that.
story short,
Right.
the guy kept saying, Gaz d'Avion, pointing at us. He was buying us a drink. The bartender had to break it down,
Gaz
and he was
d'Avion.
already drunk.
He's like,
And I was like, wow, I got all Southside up here in Canada. But anyway.
yeah, no, there are no
shout
friendlier
out-
people than
But
Canadians.
his name is
so
from
we're
Remember
not
Home
trying to-
Improvement? Tim Taylor, Tool Man.
Oh,
So I call
you
him
know
the
what,
Tool Man.
I didn't watch that. But
Anyway,
yeah, I do,
shout
I
out
do
to
know.
the Tool Man.
Tool
Who
Man.
else is on here?
So wait, let's
I'm just
closing
looking at
argument some of this. So do you have a closing argument, Chris?
Nope.
You do not have a closing argument. Gene, do you have a closing point?
Well, the only thing that I want to make sure that we talk about is how we are perceived, or how we perceive ourselves should not, it shouldn't dictate who we date.
Right.
Well, okay, how society perceives us shouldn't dictate who we date, and that self-loathing that comes out in who you date. It shouldn't be that you should date someone who you love, who you care
you're
about,
comfortable with.
who you're comfortable with, who somebody just said up there, who you vibe with.
Right.
But again, be prepared for whatever it is that's going to come your way. With the differences, as we said.
And internally,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of internal stuff that goes on in these relationships that
100%.
people don't always discuss. So yeah,
Coach mentioned it earlier, and I thought it was a great point. We skirted over it. You said the societal issues, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of us, and I say black folk, we blame the other sex for things that we can control, because I think a lot of outside things that are outside, it makes it more difficult for us, right?
right.
So, and some people want to be married who've never been married. Those who've been married, I have no advice for you. You know what you know. There are women out here who's like, Chris, what should I do? I'm like, you've been married or you have kids. It's whatever you want. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Well, doesn't mean they're married to the right
but for
person.
those who are interested in marriage, to Coach's point, this is of 2018 from Barcelona School of Economics, March 9, 2002. 62% of white folk, white women, 25 to 54, are married. Only 32% of black women. But if you take out some of those societal issues, they ran some smart folks from Wilson hypothesis and differentials. That's a 30% gap. If you started off setting the sex ratio 1-to-1, right? That, if there was the same amount of men and women, black women and white women, black women to white women to white men to black men, that increases it 37 to 42%.
Okay.
If you give the white man and the black man the same opportunity to gain or lose a job, the gap is closed 12 more percent. If you give the white man and the black man the same opportunity to be in prison or be free from prison, That closes 40% of the gap. If you combine all three, it reduces it by 78%. If you then give the black woman the same taste for marriage, because y'all are told something different than y'all are than the white woman, the same taste for divorce as the white woman, the racial marriage gap becomes 3%. So my point is, there are a lot, you get that on the Kris The Critic show. My point is, there are a lot of issues outside of us that make it more difficult. And I say this to say in closing, if you see somebody who likes you, they can provide, you trust them, give them some grace.
Give them a shot.
They fighting a lot of shit. So look, we got Brian Foster up next on In the Zone. He always brings the heat.
Yeah.
My girl Chantel is co-hosting. So look, if you're around, go to BRI space Foster. If you're on Facebook, I think it might be on In the Zone. Just go find him. Just type in Brian Foster.
They're saying, should you marry
He knows
the slut?
everybody in Chicago. Somebody will tell you where the show is. But again, Coach, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for Sean Smith, who's not here. And always, my ride or die, Gina motherfucking B, if you didn't know. Hey. We out of here, Kris The Critic. Until next week, thank you for joining. Leave your comments. I'll check them later. Peace and love. We out. Yo, got Noops in the